there's a remote control that controls my camcorder. When you go into a Toastmasters or other type of speaking club and you need to have yourself recorded, the best thing to do is to have someone who's a videographer and knows where to put that video camera so they're not photographing the wall or taping the wall when they should be taping you and getting a cut to the audience. So what you need, once you place your video camera on a tripod or on top of a computer tower that's about 3 or 4 feet high, wherever it can make eye contact so that you get from the top of your head to your midsection. That's all you need. You don't need the whole body unless you want it. Of course, it's good to have the audience and you making some type of movement so you don't stand rigidly. But the best thing to do is take your little remote control that controls your camcorder, and you can turn it on and turn it off as you speak, or press the pause button when you want to pause, the stop button or the record button, and that at least gives you some semblance of control when there's no one else running the camera but you, and you're facing a large audience. So you have to arrange that angle and practice before you actually get up and make the speech. That's why it's important to arrive early enough before the audience or the listeners come to arrange the camera at an angle where you can move in one direction or the other and still have yourself taped. Another tip about movement, when you're speaking, stand with your feet a few inches apart so that you're not swaying from one side to the other and you're comfortable, relaxed, standing in one position. However, you don't want to remain totally rigid because it looks like a talking head. So you might want to move a little bit to have communication and eye contact with the audience. What do you think of coming to a positive space in your life right now? A positive place where you can relax and enjoy. Imagine yourself at a beach with the ocean waves lapping. Then you might want to pull back and ask for feedback from the audience. What type of rapport can I achieve with the audience? That's what you want to think of when you're doing some of your informative or persuasive speeches. And if you have an accident or you trip over something, just move on and continue speaking. You could smile a little bit and say, excuse, or you can just move to the next subject. Have something to demonstrate in your speech. Instead of reading from a paper that you have in front of you, practice the speech so that you know your subject well enough that you can think about it, and to avoid the temptation of actually reading an academic paper and turning your wonderful speech into just the reading of an academic paper to an audience that's not academic at all. This is what you need to do. You have your little index cards with your keywords. You have that set aside. And you have your subjects listed from 1 to 10 or 1 to 7 of each subject that you want to speak about. So you put that in order. And practice your speech on your own tape recorder, if not your video camera, so that you can speak freely about the subject and know it well enough to answer any question from the audience. And if you know your subject well enough to answer the audience's questions, then you don't need to read from a paper, because all the audience will see is your eyes are looking down when they should be looking up and at the audience, and you're able to get feedback and answer questions much more easily than if you have to constantly look down and read from a paper. So know your subject well, or choose a subject that you are so familiar with you don't need to read it from a paper. For a 5-minute speech, it's not necessary to learn a completely new subject that you're totally unfamiliar with, because then you have to look down frequently. So pick something that you've been doing all your life and enjoy yourself while you're